Ryan Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630. WMAL.
6:37, it's Wilson and Ham in the house. Neiman's still off on vacation, and Lanny Davis is queued up here to talk to us and help us understand. Because, you know, when the left gets angry about what happens with the Tea Party movement, they call everybody a lot of names. What I want to do with Lanny here is try to understand the other side. I'm going to try to have an intellectual pursuit with Lanny here in just a few moments, but let's recap where we are. Listen to this piece of tape again of Martin Bashir on MSNBC quoting Maureen Dowd.
Consider this from Maureen Dowd in today's New York Times, quote, "They were like cannibals, eating their own party leaders alive. They were like vampires, draining the country's reputation, credit rating and compassion. They were like zombies, relentlessly and mindlessly coming back again and again to assault their unnerved victims, Boehner and President Obama. They were like the metallic beasts in Alien, flashing mouths of teeth inside other mouths of teeth, bursting out of Boehner's stomach every time he came to a bouquet of microphones."
To be fair, zombies and vampires are very hot right now. Yeah. So maybe it was meant as a compliment.
Maybe it was. There you have Martin Bashir reading Maureen Dowd as she castigates the Tea Party movement in many different ways. Bashir then went on, if you've been following our discussion, to have a psychologist come on and accuse the Tea Party of being addicts and delusional. Lanny Davis is on the line now. And Lanny, why is it that the rhetoric of the left, the language of the left, has gotten so harsh? Why are they being so ugly about this Tea Party movement? Help me understand your friends on the left.
You know, I thought you were saying your usual good morning to me and accusing me of being an addict and delusional.
No, we would never do that.
Good morning back to you, too. Look, honestly, I think the rhetoric on the left and the rhetoric on the right, they deserve each other. I completely agree with you. I was actually a victim of it myself when I supported Joe Lieberman in a Democratic primary in Connecticut, and the level of hate mail that I got from people who called themselves liberal was absolutely scary. So I can't agree with you more, but I also think that people make gaffes, especially in private conversations, and if the vice president used an expression that he shouldn't have used, he said he didn't. I believe him.
Well, hold on a minute. On that point, Lanny, let me ask you, because yesterday we had on Jen Psaki with the White House press office, and, I asked her, I said, there are 4 people who said he said it, and he says he didn't say it. Well, but do you think that kind of language is appropriate? She said no. And I said, why wouldn't there be an apology? There's not even an acknowledgement that he even said it, even though 4 people walked out of the room and said he said it.
But if there's one person in this country who is well-liked and who should be given a pass if he said it, it would be Joe Biden.
Oh, why do you believe that?
I'm just trying to imagine a situation in which a Republican called someone, like a Republican vice president called his political adversaries terrorists, and we would give him a pass.
Well, it would be terrible, but if it were somebody that we all had a great amount of affection for and recognized that he made a mistake, we'd probably say, okay, I give that person a pass.
Well, Joe, on that point, I could understand. I could forgive a man who would come to the microphones and say, "I got a little carried away. Please forgive me." He won't even admit that he said it.
I don't know who's telling the truth on that one, but I want to be.
Why would 4 Democrats come out of the room and quote him as having said that?
Well, are they on the record?
They've been reported very widely that there are 4 different sources in the room who said that he said it.
On the record, I would be much more concerned. But look, we should start out by both of us agreeing that we've heard this kind of hate rhetoric on the far right. I've certainly heard it even in the town meetings during the healthcare battle or debate. There was some really harsh stuff that was said against Democrats, against Barack Obama. We all should agree this is the wrong kind of politics. It's eating up at our country, and both Democrats and Republicans. I watch a certain network sometimes on television, where all I hear is anger and name calling, and then I switch the channel and I go to another network, and I hear anger and name-calling, and both of them are talking about each other.
Well,
it's not helpful to our politics.
I am not actually a member of the rhetoric police. I think often when people say, oh, you need to tone down your rhetoric, they only mean it for one side, and it's meant as a way to actually shut up real debate, and I resent that. But what bothers me is not so much Biden saying terrorists. I find it mildly annoying and untrue about Republicans, but it's the double standard that bothers me. I feel like Republicans do pay a much larger price. Like, just random Tea Partiers at a rally get thrown up on MSNBC as if they're party leaders because they have a sign that's spelled incorrectly.
Well, I think you're seeing a double standard because you may be watching only one viewpoint and not the other. But I
talk to you once a week, Lanny. How could I possibly only see one viewpoint?
No, I can promise you that this is on both sides and that we ought to both mutually be denouncing. And I don't agree that there's any excuse for name-calling. It's not a substitute for debate, and both sides need to denounce it. So this is one of the this is one of the most boring interviews I've ever had with you guys because I agree with you completely.
Well, but the President of the United States went to Tucson in the wake of that horrible tragedy there and talked about the need to sort of change the nature of the debate. Right. And the administration is on record saying that, we're being held hostage. They're holding a gun to our head. We have the right has been accused of everything in the world in this debate over the debt ceiling, and it's if that what the president said had no meaning, not even in his own administration.
Look, to repeat, I think that both sides get carried away. I don't think that there's more fault on one versus the other. I find myself, I said yesterday that I'm so frustrated, even though I am a supporter of Barack Obama for re-election, that I actually think a third-party movement, if ever there were a desire in the country for something better than we're seeing from the leadership in Washington, this is certainly a moment, and I think there's great frustration on both sides, and we do want a different kind of politics.
Real quick, and I'll keep my rhetoric toned down. Winners and losers coming out of the debt ceiling debate. Is the president significantly weakened by this? Certainly the left is upset with him.
No question this was a victory for Speaker Boehner and the conservative movement. I think that because of, in my opinion, a stubbornness in not allowing revenue enhancements and close loopholes and increase taxes to help close this deficit the way that Simpson and Bowles does it evenly. I think that they were much tougher on that point than we are, but you know what? I respect that because they won the election in 2010. They held their ground, and it's a victory for people who changed the conversation to focus on the debt rather than on closing tax loopholes and doing something that's more even-handed across the board.
Well, thank you so much, Lanny. Pleasure to hear from the other side, as I do frequently.
Thank you.
And we'll
good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning to you, and thanks a lot, Lanny. We'll take more of your calls.